The Daily Beast last week wrote the headline is Top Dem. A lot to like about Stephen A. Smith's presidential bid. That is House Minority Speaker Hakeem Jeffries, who I hope will be on this show in the very near future. Another article came out this weekend by The New Yorker. Headline, Stephen A. Smith for president. NewYorker.com. Check it out. I must admit, I got on like a lavender blazer with a lavender shirt and a purple tie. I was looking pretty fly, if I should say so myself. I just want to throw that out there. Okay? And now the latest is courtesy of TMZ. Now, mind you, USA Today, Washington Post, various other publications have written about this as well. Stephen A. Smith, I am not running for U.S. president. This is when TMZ caught me coming out of a Shannon Sharp's party in New Orleans during Super Bowl week. And I guess they ran this recently. And I wanted to go there because I wanted to make sure that I put this to bed once and for all. I have no intentions of running for the presidency of the United States of America. I do not believe I am an aficionado. I do not believe that my pockets are deep enough for me to ignore the financial strain that could potentially have on me, because obviously I earn more than the president of the United States right now. He makes about $400,000 a year. That position there is. Senate and congressional figures make anywhere from $170,000 to $270,000 a year. Needless to say, I make more money than that.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Stephen A. Smith, who has been floating the idea of running for president on his podcast because he's continued to trash the Democrat Party for having zero leadership and being just bad right now, right? The Democrat Party is in full-blown free fall, okay? They are the butt of every joke. They're not serious. Their approval ratings are in the tank. They have zero leadership whatsoever. They're an embarrassment to this country right now, right? And it's just getting worse the more that they rage against Trump, because all they have at this point is wokeness and Trump derangement. That's all they got, right? They don't have anything else outside of that. So with that being said, again, the Democrats are in a bad state, okay? So bad that, again, Stephen A. believes that he could run for president in a Democrat primary and win because the Democrats are that bad.
And then you put him on stage last June 27th for a debate. He embarrasses himself, and 3 weeks later, he has to bow out so Kamala Harris could come in as a Democratic nominee for the presidency of the United States of America at a time when they didn't have any time to put somebody else in to compete with her. You don't overcome that after losing the election. America ain't going to go for it on the left. They ain't going to go for it. Who else you got? Hakeem Jeffries? I personally support Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland. But I don't know how much of a national figure he is. I already interviewed Josh Shapiro. And oh, by the way, to the Republicans listening out there, you're welcome to come on the Stephen A. Smith Show. I'm not one-sided. See, this is why my name is in the election. You hear me, Griff? You hear me, Wes? You hear me, Sherry? You hear me, Rashad? You hear me? The Stephen A. Smith team I'm talking to. That's why I'm in the news. I'm not in the news because I'm here. I'm in the news because the Democratic Party is here. Damn it, lower than that. Down at the bottom. They suck right now. Horrible. Because they don't have a voice. Where the hell is the voice? And everybody want to sit up there and talk about, we don't need a voice. 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 Well, guess what? Somebody got to send a message. How the hell can somebody receive a message if there's no messenger? You got to do it. And they don't have anybody. That's why Stephen A. Smith is a candidate. Who the hell told y'all I'd want to be a Democrat? That's why I'm a candidate. It ain't because I want to. It ain't because I'm some expert. It ain't because I'm some aficionado who's saying that I know more. You know how much I would have to learn? Hell, I don't even know how to pronounce most foreign dignitaries' names. The sad part is that I'd still beat any Democrat out there right now. Because who the hell is resonating with the American people? Hell, even Josh Shapiro came on the show, who I like a lot, by the way. And even he talked about, I'm just concentrating on Pennsylvania. What? What? We need more than that. I have no interest in getting involved. More so than pundency and commentary. But you better hope I stay feeling that way. Because let me tell you something right now. I said I'll bring the rain. I lied. I'd bring hell. Hell. Because I ain't playing. I'm there to win. Our two-party system sucks.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Okay, that is Stephen A. roasting the Democrats. And Democrat operatives like James Carville do not like that very much. Okay, he does not like the fact that Stephen A. is calling out the Democrats for the fact that they lack leadership. And James Carville basically told Stephen A. to shut his effing mouth because he doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to politics. Take a look.
Okay, I am a big Stephen A. Smith fan. I remember I saw him some years ago on TV, and I said, man, this guy's coming in hot. I don't know how long this is going to last. The truth about it, he's really worn well with me. He's very outspoken. Look, he's like anybody else. Does any kind of commentary, sports commentary. He's sometimes wrong. Way more times he's right. I find him to be, when it comes to sports, I find him to be really insightful. When it comes to politics, he don't know his ass from a hole in the ground. He's on that running his goddamn mouth about how he may have to run as a Democrat because there's nothing left of the Democratic Party. There's no talent. Stephen A., are you shitting me? I mean, you say you're friends with Wes Moore and you say you're friends with Josh Shapiro. I'm friends with both of them. I think they're really extraordinary, talented people. But I got news for you, dude. There's 6 or 7 other people in the Democratic Party that are just that talented. So before you start running your fucking mouth off about politics, a topic of which you really don't know anything about, you ought to sit back and think about it and call some people and run it by them. But don't let your political stupidity stand in the way of your outspoken and I think often insightful views when it comes to American sports, of which I think you are an expert at. And if you know Wes and you know Josh, you should call them and run your opinions by them, because I know both of them and they're both smart guys and they're both very ambitious guys. And the last thing that they're thinking is, if I decide that I want to take the next step in American politics, I'm going to be facing some brutal, brutal opposition. And they both know that. And they know it deep down and they know it well. So Stephen A., keep up your shit on sports. I enjoy it. I like it, but don't make a fool of yourself anymore and talking about politics.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Okay, James Carville clearly probably does not like the idea of Stephen A. running for president. He definitely doesn't like the idea of Stephen A. trashing other Democrats who are thinking about running for president in 2028. But there are leftists out here who are seriously entertaining the idea of maybe, just maybe, Stephen A. should run, because Stephen A. has something that the Democrats lack, which is charisma, okay? And also on top of that, Stephen A. apparently loves Bernie Sanders, right? He tweeted this back in 2009, quote, "I loved hearing Bernie Sanders. He personifies my views as an independent."
Consumed a lot of Stephen A. Smith over the past number of years because Kyle loves this guy.
Really? That's hilarious.
Yes, even though his politics are very centristy. Leftists are sharing a tweet that he put out years ago where it was like, listen to Bernie Sanders and he's exactly right about everything. To be like, oh, maybe. But I mean, we know his politics are very like normie, always hewing to the center. He's real buddy with Sean Hannity. Loves this, loves him, loves the whole mantra of bipartisan sort of norms, et cetera. But he is at least charismatic. He is at least charismatic. Talented. He's at least unafraid of he's not afraid of controversy. He's not afraid of, actually saying what he thinks and stating it in a clear and unequivocal manner. And I think in terms of putting aside my own political ideological project, I think so much of the discussion, especially after this loss about how does this issue pull and that issue pull, and maybe they should have, said a little bit more about this or said a little bit more about that based on the polling, et cetera, et cetera. I really think one of the core issues for Democrats is just a lack of someone who is compelling, who will say something brash, defend it, be unafraid, not be, a shrinking violet and running from every controversy, who could certainly go on any podcast Stephen A. Smith could and make his case and be comfortable and be likable and all those sorts of things. If Democrats want to win again, they do need to look for a character who is like Stephen A. Smith. And just in terms of winning, again, not in terms of what I want to see ideologically happen, just in terms of winning, that is very much the direction that they need to pursue, more so than any of the like poll tested adjusting themselves on this issue or that issue.
Yeah, it gets to a
Yeah, so I personally find it hilarious that Democrats are in such a bad place that they're having serious conversations. There are serious conversations about sports commentators, not political commentators, right? That's not Stephen A's main thing. He may be getting into political commentary, but he hasn't been doing it for like 30, 40 years type of thing, right? Again, a sports commentator, you have actual comedians like Jon Stewart, okay? Those are the people that Democrats are throwing out there as possible leaders for the party in the future, as possible presidential nominees. It shows you that the Democrats are quite literally a clown show at this point, right? They are a total train wreck, okay? And I know some people will say, well, the Republicans had Trump. Trump wasn't a politician. And it's like, yeah, well, Trump was a businessman, okay? You got to understand there's a difference. Trump was a real estate mogul, okay? So when you talk about Trump versus somebody like a Stephen A. or Jon Stewart, the difference is that President Trump has actually built things, okay? He's shown that he at least has some understanding of how to run an organization, how to build an entity and to maximize return on investment, right? That's not something that Stephen A. or Jon Stewart have shown, right? I don't know anything about what Stephen A. does or Jon Stewart does that would lead me to believe they know how to manage large organizations. But hey, this is what happens when you have no leadership. This is what happens when you have no bench, which is different than the current situation of the Republicans right now. I mean, the Republicans have a really deep bench. I mean, we're talking about J.D. Vance, who's probably next up. You talk about Ron DeSantis, who could also be competitive as well, too. You have Vivek Ramaswamy. Okay, in some section of the Republican Party, you know, Nikki Haley is popular, even though, you know, I'm not a fan of Nikki Haley. But I'm just saying, like, they're people, right? They're individuals that you can name that you're like, okay, like, yeah, that person is a serious person who could actually, you know, potentially run the country, right? Or be the future of the party. Again, hopefully not Nikki Haley, but I'm just saying, like, the Republicans have a deep bench. I just don't know about that with Democrats, right? I mean, I think that Stephen A. is right. I think James Carville is just upset because Stephen A. is telling the truth, okay? Which is that right now, Democrats have nobody. There's nobody that I can think of on top of my head that would be competitive versus a Republican candidate in 2028 as of right now, right? Given the current state of the Democrat Party. Now, who knows? That could change. I don't know. Maybe Josh Shapiro could be the guy. But Kamala Harris didn't choose Josh Shapiro as VP because he's Jewish, right? Which brings me to my point. This is always my point when I do these videos about the Democrats because this is the main issue. Democrats are beholden to the far left. And as long as they are beholden to the far left, it does not matter if a sane, rational Democrat rises up through the ranks and breaks out as the leader of the party. They will always be weighed down by the fact that their base, okay, there is a base of Democrats that are way too extreme when it comes to social issues, and they have a chokehold on the Democrat Party, right? And you know this because look at the DNC elections. Look at the DNC elections. Look at their leadership. David Hogg, Malcolm Kenyatta, far leftists, okay, Ken Martin. These are not individuals that strike me as people that are grounded in common sense and sanity. No, they're far left woke ideologues. And as long as those individuals are running the Democrat Party, it doesn't matter who the nominee is going to be because they're going to have to be beholden to the far left. The Democrats have to abandon the far left completely. They have to sever ties with the far left. As long as they continue to be in bed with the far left, it doesn't matter who the candidate is, right? Doesn't matter what they do. They're going to have a hard time winning anything, right? Because the American people have thoroughly rejected that. So with that being said, I think that James Carville here, I think he is upset about Stephen A. telling the truth, even though I do think that James Carville is right about Stephen A. not really knowing that much about politics, which Stephen A. will admit. I think Stephen A. is just kind of like riding the wave, posing as an enlightened centrist, right? Who, again, really is low-key a leftist, right? I mean, he voted for Kamala Harris, the most progressive presidential candidate in the history of this country, right? So you're not an enlightened centrist if you vote for Kamala Harris, Okay, I don't care how Trump deranged you are. You cannot claim to be an enlightened centrist and vote for Kamala Harris. Right? That just doesn't work. Like, that doesn't make sense. So, I just think that it's just hilarious how there are now serious conversations about this, because that's how bad the Democrats are currently doing. That's how bad their leadership currently is. And I personally predict that whoever rises up to become the leader of the Democrat Party, likely because of the influence of the far left, it's going to be somebody like a Jasmine Crockett, right? That's what's going to happen. Okay, they're going to have somebody that's going to be some far left lunatic that will lead the Democrat Party in order to rally the base against Trump. And I just don't think that's going to work out well, right? I don't think that the Democrats are going to embrace being an actual centrist party, right? I think that they're going to default to, you know what, we just hate Trump, and we can't get rid of the woke base, right? We can't abandon them. So therefore, we're just going to double and triple down on that, and that's what they're going to run with. And they're hoping that President Trump's approval ratings start to decline, right? And that he loses the support of the American people, and that will justify them not having to change, right? I think that is the game plan from the Democrats. So we'll see. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.